Hey, what is up guys, JP Land here, and welcome to another Universal Studios Hollywood construction update video. Today we're in the JP Land studio just because they didn't allow me to bring in a mic this time into the park, so I had to get majority of my updates through my phone and some from the camera, but just without a microphone, so bear with me here. But I do have a lot of updates for you today. Today is May 21st, 2023, and we have some big updates, beginning with the plaza as they have this special event going on. It looked like it was just a private company party. They had a DJ and some really delicious looking food. This isn't really an update, but it is really cool to see the plaza being used in some way. Scooby, Daphne, and what's her name? Vecna, the girl in purple. They were all out today, but Fred and Shaggy were missing. Growing up, I never really watched Scooby-Doo. I mostly stuck with Nickelodeon, like SpongeBob, and also Disney Channel with like Sweet Life on Deck, Jessie, and what else did I watch? Drake and Josh? Is that Disney? No, it's Nickelodeon. Anyways, let's jump straight into some of the updates we have today. Looking onto the Halloween Horror Nights facade over in Parisian Courtyard. It's looking incredible, actually. Zoomed pretty close onto this facade, and just looking at it, they have done some work within the last few days. They distressed the facade, meaning there's like darker colors making it look kind of old, and this facade is looking quite incredible. It doesn't look complete quite yet. It looks like there's a lot of detail that is going to go into this facade, but this is definitely going to be some form of Mexican original haunted house. I'm really excited to see what it could be. I'm thinking they're going to make this haunted house based on last year's El Pueblo del Terror scare zone and basically turn it into a haunted house. So you'll see La Llorona, you'll see El Cucuy, you'll see the Chupacabra, and maybe, I don't know, this is just me giving out some speculation. It's very possible that it's completely off, but it would make sense if they do that. They've done this before with Holidays in Hell, which was a scare zone, kind of like a small walkthrough maze. They used to have something like that in the Metropolitan sets. It was kind of like a bonus haunted house. But basically, they turned that original idea into its own haunted house the following year. I also got to say hi to Frankenstein. It was so nice seeing him. Bride of Frankenstein wasn't here today, though. Now, looking at the side of this haunted house, I just couldn't help but notice how tall some of the sets are inside of the maze. Just based on the outside of this haunted house, it just seems like this is going to be one of the better haunted houses we received this year. And last year, I didn't really expect La Llorona to be my favorite, but it ended up being my favorite haunted house from 2022. Last year, my most anticipated haunted house was the Legends Collide haunted house. I thought it was a really cool concept, bringing the Mummy and Dracula and the Wolfman all into one maze, but I feel like it just wasn't executed properly. The storyline wasn't straight, and personally, I didn't really enjoy walking through that haunted house. Now, since Universal Monsters has been a part of the event since 2018, it's almost safe to assume that we're getting another Universal Monsters haunted house this year. And I'm very curious to see which monsters they utilize this year. It'd be really cool if they do something similar to the 2018 haunted house where they had all of the monsters in one giant haunted house. Or what they could also do is use monsters we haven't seen at all. Like, we barely saw any of the Invisible Man. We barely saw Phantom of the Opera. And Creature from the Black Lagoon just didn't exist in the Universal Monsters haunted house. I think Universal Studios in Orlando did have a certain section themed to Creature of the Black Lagoon, but I feel like those are the three hardest monsters to bring to the event, and you really have to be creative to bring them to the event. So we'll see what John Murdy pulls off this year. Simply not having a Universal Monsters haunted house is also an option. Now, taking a look at the side of the Animal Actors stage, it seems like they've already begun work on deconstruction or demolishing this theater. Looking closer, they already have some construction vehicles on site, and it seems like they're ripping apart some of the foundation, getting ready to bulldoze these attractions. Also, I never really noticed this, but you could see some of the bird cages or some of the cages that hold the animals that used to be in the show. It's just crazy to me to see an abandoned attraction like this at Universal Studios Hollywood. Production Central is closed, but it's been opening and closing quite often. But considering they've already begun work on deconstructing everything, it seems like Production Central is closed for good this time. Although they still have a ton of merchandise inside, we'll see what they do with that. Looking at special effects show, they removed the canopy that sat on top of the queue for the attraction, and also The digital display was removed, and the special part of the sign was removed as well. It's weird that they left effects show, but everything else is gone. They also put up some scaffolding towards the side of the building, and I'm really confused on why they're doing that. Maybe they have to remove important things from the top, but to my knowledge, I think scaffolding is only used to paint and get exterior work done. But if they're removing these shows, I'm assuming that they're just going to bulldoze it. And I don't really know the technical process of deconstructing a building, but I don't know why they have scaffolding up. I'm very curious to see what's going to happen to Springfield once they begin work on whatever attraction is going over here. I know I've been very doubtful about a Fast and Furious coaster coming to the park, mostly because I thought the intellectual property was rather unpopular or despised against. But I also noticed that there are dedicated fans to the Fast and Furious property. People love the family, and they also love that the franchise is continuing after Fast X, and they're bringing 2 more movies now. So, I don't know, we'll see what happens with this section of the park. Now, I'll get back to the coaster shortly, but I got on Jurassic World the ride just to see if the Indominus Rex is back, and it actually is. When I rode the attraction, the Indominus Rex was all the way out, which means we didn't get to really see it walk out. It was just all the way in the front. And this might be due to the timing with the boat ahead. It just didn't have enough time to walk back. But aside from that, it was a pretty good ride through. But in the Mosasaurus screen, one of the screens weren't working properly. And half of the screen was cut in half, and it was black on the bottom. And I thought this was really funny because I don't really see malfunctions happen too often on this attraction. So yeah, let me get back to the Fast and Furious coaster that is rumored. I got on the studio tour and got a view of the side of the hill that this coaster is rumored to be on. And all the way on the side of the escalators on the left side. So this is completely on the other side of special effects. They already put up some walls. There's a sign that says Technical Services Warehouse, Building 4407. That's for the building on the left, so it doesn't have anything to do with the construction site or the construction project in general. But yeah, the walls wrap around the entire hill, and it goes behind the special effects show as well. I was trying to see if they removed the tarp behind the special effects show, but it's still standing at the moment. But I'm really curious to see what they do here. A lot of you guys are commenting that the coaster was canceled. I don't know if you guys are trolling or not, but I don't know. I think it's still happening. Just considering that we have walls on the opposite side of the escalator, it just kind of proves that this coaster is coming at this point. There's also a big rumor going around that Super Nintendo World is going to be expanded very soon. And this rumor started once Kelly Clarkson announced that her show will be moving to New York. And it's kind of ironic timing because Nintendo just opened and it's proven to be very successful. So I think Universal will be doubling down and expanding Super Nintendo World. And Kelly Clarkson's soundstage is actually one of the 4 sound stages behind Super Nintendo World. And when they originally created Super Nintendo World, they demolished 4 sound stages for the land. And I thought this might be a little weird to demolish 4 more sound stages, and then how would the studio tour go around these sound stages? And I just noticed a new sign that they posted up, and this is because of ongoing construction. It says, "Caution, trams make wide turns, stop until tram is clear." Now, I think once the schedule is clear and once all the filming and everything that's going on inside of these sound stages currently are cleared up, they'll begin demolishing these sound stages and having the tram go around the construction site and back around Super Nintendo World. Now, I can't find any filed permits quite yet, but once I do, I'll keep you guys updated to see if they will be removing these sound stages for park expansion. As of right now, we're kind of in a tight spot. The only way to expand the park is by removing sound stages at this point. And considering they just built 4 new sound stages, I feel like they could afford removing 4 sound stages to expand the park. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Now, on the way to the backlot, we also have some Halloween Horror Night construction. We have this haunted house over here. There's nothing visible aside from the facade, which was completely painted white. And on the speculation map, it says that this is going to be Holidays in Hell. And people are telling me that it's going to be the same facade, and I'm seeing it all over Instagram. And I think this is false. There's an opening in the middle of the facade, but it's not a small opening. It goes all the way down, and it's a big rectangle. Now, when I think of big rectangles, I think of toy boxes, and I think this might be the Chucky maze. Also, based on our current construction pattern, it seems like there are 2 mazes that we can't see, and I think both mazes will be inside of sound stages. Actually, now that I think about it, there's 3 mazes we can't see. There's one inside of the former Walking Dead attraction building, so we'll see what happens here. Me personally, I miss the Metropolitan set so much. It made Horror Nights feel so exclusive because it took us into places you can't really go in the daytime. And I don't know, it just felt like its own little theme park, and I just loved when the Horror Night mazes were in the Metropolitan sets. I hope they bring it back eventually. But it's just crazy right now. I feel like a lot of people had a lot of time to work on movies over the pandemic, so the studios have been super busy. It's also been really difficult for the studio tours to go into the Metropolitan sets just because of how busy the production teams are right now. Now, we really don't see too much work going on in this section of the studio tour, and this attraction has been abandoned for many years now, just because Fast and Furious Supercharged basically put it out of business. But since we're getting a whole Fast and Furious Rollercoaster, I have a feeling that they're going to remove Fast and Furious Supercharged and potentially bring back this little Fast and Furious experience that everyone loved on the studio tour. So there has been some activity towards the left of this attraction recently. They put up some work walls, and it seems like they're getting ready to do something very soon. I try to peek into the attraction itself, and it looks like there hasn't been anything done to the attraction since it's been abandoned, but I really hope that they do utilize this space very soon. Also, to the second picture car section of the studio tour, it seemed like a lot of cars were missing, and I think this might be because of Fast X. They have a ton of cars promoting Fast X outside of movie theaters and basically everywhere now. We'll see what they do with those cars, but what I am hoping to see is they expand the Terror Tram in some way. So instead of just going in a straight path here, they could have you wind through this little section. I feel like ever since they removed that little hill you used to go up on during the Terror Tram, the crowd control has been terrible. There's been people crowding up in sections, just basically trying to get back on the tram, and that definitely causes some delays. So creating a little section to walk through over here will definitely be good for the Terror Tram. I also noticed that they left up some of the walls from last year over here. They're going to rebuild it anyways. Why not just leave it up year round? And it seems like the picket fences are in very good condition. It doesn't seem like they're weathered at all. So that definitely gives them the opportunity of leaving it up year round. Also, towards the end of the studio tour, there haven't been major changes in front of the Halloween Horror Nights house over here. It's just one big gray wall. They have 2 little lanterns sticking out, and I don't know if that's a part of theming or just the construction process in general, but they blocked off all of the Curious George parking structure, so we can't really get a view onto these haunted houses anymore unless we get on the studio tour. The second maze in H lot has a little more work done. The bigger part of the facade, not so much, but the smaller part has a lot of work. They have this little booth area that almost looks like a ticket stand for a movie theater. There's some black drapes inside of it. There's also a little picket fence surrounding it. The facade is very distressed, which makes it look very old. And for some reason, I'm getting a very Five Nights at Freddy's vibe out of this facade right now. And for some reason, it actually looks like a puppet theater. Let me know what you guys think. But that's all the updates we have on the studio tour. Now, we were waiting in line to watch the Waterworld show, and something crazy happened. Now, I've never really seen any major incidents happen at the park, especially the Waterworld show. Now, they announced that the show was canceled due to technical difficulties while we were waiting in line. And it didn't really make sense to me. Then I saw a huge horde of bees flying around this entire set of Waterworld. It looked terrifying. I tried to get out of there as soon as I could, but people were just generally mad that they canceled the show. I'm like, do you want to be sitting with these bees flying everywhere and potentially stinging you? It was just crazy. I've never seen that many bees in my life. But it was cool because they actually had the Waterworld cast come and say hi to everyone exiting the show. Because they did push us pretty forward before letting us go into the theater, and they actually didn't let us go into the theater because of those bees, which is good. That's a good move by Universal. But they had the cast come out and say hi. The cast was just as confused, but I'm glad we didn't get to watch the show with all those bees. Now, what's crazy to me is that even with the Super Nintendo World reservation system, they also had a reservation system up for the Secret Life of Pets off the leash ride. So that means guests weren't able to get on 2 major attractions in the park. And that's no good in my eyes. I don't think that's fair for guests that pay to get into the park and expect to get on all attractions. But even when we got on the ride, I also noticed a lot of effects not working on the attraction. First of all, I noticed that the wiener dog was missing in this beginning scene of the attraction. And I'm also just really confused of why they need a reservation system for this ride. It's a continuous moving attraction. I went up to one of the workers and asked what the capacity per hour is on this attraction. And it's very, very low. It's only 500 guests per hour. And this number is very, very low to me because when I worked at the park, I worked on the Jurassic World ride. And I also worked in one of the retail stores. But on the Jurassic World ride, we'd aim to hit about 2,000 guests per hour. And on the Mario Kart ride, they try to hit about 4,000 to 5,000 guests per hour. Now, this is very, very, very slow for a major attraction in a theme park. I hope they figure out a way to have faster operations. This attraction has been around for 2 years now, and to make matters worse, it's an omnimover attraction. It should be constantly moving. I have no idea what went wrong with the creation of this attraction. Maybe it's the speed of the belt. Maybe it's the limiting lap bars that cause delays, or it could even be the distance between each vehicle on this ride. I can't really pinpoint what the issue is, but it has to be fixed soon. Also, during my visit, I noticed a new update with the Universal app. If you click on dining and you click on a specific restaurant, it finally shows the hours for each restaurant. For example, on Bumblebee Man's Taco Truck, it finally shows the hours underneath, and I never really see the taco truck open, so I was generally curious. And I noticed that on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, the hours vary, but it's never really open on those days. I've actually never been to Bumblebee Man's Taco Truck because the food is so expensive. I would never spend $15 for 2 small tacos. It comes with rice and beans, but it's just not worth it. But they're also implementing a dining reservation feature onto the app. As of right now, it's not functional because if you go on the app and click on it, it'll redirect you to a Universal Orlando website that allows you to reserve by logging in. It asks how many people are in your party, and then you choose a date and time. But once I clicked on the date and time, it redirected me to Lombard's Seafood Grill over in the Florida park. So there's no restaurants that are really going to implement the reservation system aside from Toadstool. But maybe one day we'll be receiving a sit-down restaurant inside of the park. Also, one bonus update for you guys. The former location of Starbucks and Blaze Pizza are now behind walls. They've both been empty for quite a while now. And that'll wrap up today's update here at Universal Studios Hollywood. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, be sure to leave a like, comment, and if you're new here, be sure to subscribe. I'm JP, and how they sing the movies. That is a wrap. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.